I think, all right. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. And what the real emphasis behind this is to try to get to you, the community, what we are, anywhere from 3 to 6 months out, what we as NSD, our projects, our strategies, our current projects that are in the works, and basically a Q&A in case, we haven't thought of something, in case your agencies are going down a certain path, a strategic roadmap, and, we can help you in anything. So this is just to open, be transparent with, with all of you and get the pulse. So without further ado, I'm going to let, Jason, introduce yourself, please.
Alrighty, yeah, Jason Miller. I'm the new manager for the EDN team here at the Enterprise Data Networks. Been here for just over 4 months now, going on 5 here. I came from the state of Wyoming. I was the network administrator out there for the last 5-7 years or so. Before that, started with IT in Department of Transportation for Wyoming. So I've been in IT for the majority of my adult life, as well as in state government. So it's been good to be part of the team. I think I've met quite a few through some of our circuit discussion meetings. But anyway, good to meet you all.
Mike.
So Mike Costello, I think most of you know me. I'm the strategic plan and design manager for WaTech. So handling future designs of the state's network, as well as providing design support for state agencies.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Craig. I'm network operations manager. So work closely with the NOC, the NCCE, the firewall team, and the voice operations team. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Weeks. I'm the managed firewall service owner, as well as the DNS service owner.
Hi, Eric Dahlberg here. I'm the manager of WaTech Telephony Services. A lot of different services that encompasses. Thanks for coming. We'll talk later.
Hi, my name is Brandon Archibald. I'm the wireless services manager. It's good to see everybody here. Thank you.
All right, and this I hand it over to Jason. He will be the MC for the day.
Awesome. All right, thanks. Just let everybody know I'll be monitoring the chat room over there for the meeting as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to bring it up there, and I'll ask it when it's appropriate through the slides. Of course, we'll have some Q&A at the end, as well as between, at the end of each slide. Feel free to chime in as we go. So without any further ado, I guess we'll hand it over to Chris for some operational updates.
Thank you, Jason. So just wanted to touch base on a couple pretty significant efforts we have going on that we've been working on for the past year or more. I'm just going to give a status update where we're at and what you can expect. The first one is the DCLCM, which stands for Data Center Lifecycle Migration, I believe, project. Essentially, as the bullet point says, our end of row 5Ks are approaching end of support with Cisco. So we did Mike's team, actually, with assistance from many other people, a little over a year ago, started partnering with an outside vendor, outside consultants to help us redesign the SDC and QDC, the 5Ks. So essentially, that's a pretty big effort. There's, I don't know how many, 90, I believe, almost 100 5Ks that we have to replace between now and October. According to the project timeline, we've hit some delays because of shipping delays with Cisco, which I'm sure probably all of you have. But the good thing is that we finally have all our gear now, so we're able to start making progress. Actually, the first migration, or the first step in all this, is next week. We're upgrading our existing, we call it the P-Core, our backbone to a new device in preparation for this. It's step one. So some of you may have seen a service notification that was sent yesterday about some maintenance that we're going to be performing next Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday and Wednesday. Might be Wednesday and Thursday, 29th and 30th. We don't anticipate any impact from that because we're just taking down the standby device, the backbone, and replacing it, and doing the other side the following night. So that'll be next week, and that really sets the stage for us to start doing majority of these 5K replacements. So in the coming month, there will be a service announcement for the 5Ks up in Equinix. So you'll be seeing a service notification for the Cloud Highway. That'll probably be mid to late April, I believe. After that, we have our DC eggs and our net 5Ks in the SDC. And Quincy will be working on. Also in parallel to those 5Ks, we'll be working with WWT, our consultant, to stand up our greenfield network. So all the new gears is basically already installed in the SDC and the 5Ks, or excuse me, the SDC and Quincy. And starting in April, we're going to be commissioning all that gear, bringing it up online. And our goal is to start migrations between around May and be done in October. So our approach will most likely be a 5K by 5K approach. So we'll pull a list of all the customers, all the connections on each 5Ks. We'll send out individual maintenance notices to those who will be impacted on specific nights. And it's going to be an ongoing effort for 6 months or more until we get everybody migrated off these existing 5Ks and onto the new ones. And I think I saw a question. Brian raised your hand, I believe. You still have a question? Maybe not. Okay. So that's the data center lifecycle switching project. And then there's also the SMON. So the existing SMON network, sort of the same backstory. We've been working with a consultant, started a year ago or more, and we've in parallel been installing MPLS gear at all 14 node sites throughout the Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater region. And we've got that network stood up. And we're actually about halfway through, or a little over halfway through, I think about 70% done of migrating customers off the old traditional SMON DWDM gear over to this new MPLS routed network. We still have the fiber out there in the local area that Greg Ambrose and Chuck and my team manage and maintain. But this will give us, it'll be much like the rest of our network. So it'll be easier for operations to manage and maintain that. It won't be such a different type of network that takes some of our specialized technicians to deal with existing SMON issues. So by the end of April, everybody should be off that old network, and come May, we'll probably be heading out to those node sites again to power down the old gear and move it offline. And those are my 2 slides. And many questions? You can feel free to reach out to me directly as well. Shoot me an email if you guys have any questions. More than happy to answer.
There was one question in chat about what they're replacing 5Ks with. Mike responded with the 9Ks, the Nexus 9Ks.
Thanks, Mike.
Any other questions before we move on? Alrighty. On to John and managed firewalls. Oh,
So
wait,
for the,
hold on a second,
yeah.
John. Sorry, we did just get one question just came in. Robert's asking about the old ME switches.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's some sitting in our facilities and it's still in use. So I was just kind of curious if that's going to be replaced or not.
Yeah, I think we're taking a side-by-side approach. Some of the MEs are staying. I'd have to look at the specifics of which ones. I don't know off the top of my head, but I can let you know. I think we may have done LNI or LNI headquarters already. I just don't remember about that specific ME.
All right, thanks. Sorry, John. Take it
Yeah,
away.
no worries. The most important thing we're going to be working on over the next 6 months is a platform replacement for DNS for the WA.gov root. So we did a very extensive review of all the Gartner recommended solutions, and Infoblox was the right product for us. It's a premier product. From the agency's point of view, it'll be seamless. You should not see anything different. DNS is DNS. For us, the user interface should be a little easier to use, and we will be able to offer sort of the delegated admin functions for DNS for agencies, for some agencies. I think DSHS, for example, already manages their own, but for some agencies, we can delegate the root for them to where they can manage their own A records and C records. And some of you may not know this, but we had an agreement with Oregon that we would handle their third site or the tertiary site, and they would handle ours for free. It was just a reciprocal agreement. And they quit using us, but they continued to let us use theirs for free. We're going to replace that with an Azure-based solution for the tertiary site. So we'll have STC and QDC for the primary and secondary sites, and then the cloud for the tertiary site. So yeah, it will support DNSSEC, but as does our current platform. But it's not a question just of supporting it; it's how are we going to do it? So that's a bigger question and kind of runs through OCS's sort of plate on how we're going to do that. And there is an active project to look at that. That's all I have. Oh. Yeah.
Any other questions on firewall, DNS, anything along those lines? All righty. Moving on, I guess I'll hand it over to myself for the network core and transport updates. So like I said, I've been here for 4 months, and some of the major things that we've kind of been taking on as I've learned the ins and outs of everything, right? We're working through the new master service agreements with our vendors. We have about 21 total, mixed between fiber, fixed wireless, and broadband. The current MSAs that we have with our vendors right now expire at the end of April. So at this point, what we've done up to this point is we've sent out some changes that we want to see in the MSA language, more to streamline how we're doing reporting and monitoring of those circuits for the actual performance of those, kind of getting more specifics as to what we're monitoring, throughput, bandwidth, availability, those kind of things. Soliciting some feedback from the providers, from the vendors that participate in the MSA program, to have feedback by the end of this month, by the 30th of this month. The intention then is to have everything signed, ready to go by April 15th, so that we can re-up all the providers who want to continue to do business with the state in that fashion. At this point, we really haven't had a lot of significant changes that the vendors have requested. So most have been, just are either agreeing to some of our changes or just some recommendations on wording, that kind of thing. So it's been a good process through all of that. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. That's been, like I said, that's ongoing. I don't really foresee any impact to anybody, but just to let you know, that's process that's moving forward. And also, I believe this has been a project for a while, the point to multi-point migration off of the legacy circuits. We're getting right near the end. I think right now we have, as of the beginning of the month, we had about 29 circuits that are awaiting agency cutover. 13 circuits waiting for RFP to finalize and evaluate responses, and then 10 waiting for the actual providers to deliver the said services. So, obviously the importance of this is getting some of that redundancy back to the multi-point circuits. The legacy ones were just single homed. So being able to provide more redundant connectivity, more resilient connectivity is the primary push on these. You'll hear us talk about them in our monthly meetings and our conversations about circuits and all of those things. So those are certainly high on the priority list for us to get taken care of, so we can continue to provide the appropriate services to all of you out there that partake in those. So that's pretty straightforward, pretty easy stuff there. Any questions on any of that, or any of the circuit related stuff that hopefully in my current knowledge I'll be able to answer? Alrighty. There's been a couple questions in the chat. I'll just pause here. Has all that everybody thing been answered? I think. Kevin.
Yeah, I think those were related to DNS. Should be good.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. With that, since there's no questions on the circuit side of things, I will hand off to Mike, and he can take it for the planning and design updates.
Awesome. Next slide. So let's get right into it. So for those that didn't know, WaTech had both of our internet links for the state data center were run into Seattle. Now, those that are networking or digitally minded going, why do we have going to the same place? Single point of failure, right? Put my Brian Leach hat on. So Chris Craig and Jason led the charge with Zayo to get that internet link to swing to Portland. So now we got the route diversity, we got high availability, right? So just great, yeah, exactly. Great job, fellas. Thank you very much. We've also initiated the actions to look at that, to upgrade both of our internet links at the state data center from 10 gig to 20 gig. So right now we're pushing about anywhere between 6 and 7.5 gig per link. So it's time to upgrade, right? So we're going to get an upgrade. So both of those links will eventually migrate to 20 gigs. So a total of 40 just out of the SDC. So coming soon. So WaTech's going to have out of band management capability. So specifically what that's going to mean, before somebody like my boss is going to tee off on me, that this is something that we're planning on being able to provide in the near future. We're going through the internal processes, right? The internal vetting to be able to offer this capability. So that's more to come. So I just want you to know that that's, this is one of the futures that we're talking about, potentially being able to offer those that have infrastructure, data center infrastructure in the SDC or QDC. So, another step for mankind. Woohoo! And then we've got two, when you get the slide deck, both of those hyperlinks are valid. And so we've stood up a quality of service overview webpage. What that's to do is to help state agencies determine how they should configure their QoS, right? So WaTech uses a 4-class model. We're hopefully going to be developing and deploying a scavenger class, which would be a 5-class model. That scavenger class would be stuff for like, March Madness, not saying that our internet's being used for that, but, and those video music streaming sites, right? Those non-business related traffic flows, right? So that QoS webpage has got a great amount of detail. To be clear, we do not consult, so we are not going to help you figure out how you should configure your QoS, right? That's not what we're in the business. But this web page gives you enough to start the conversation, and as well as gives you links or leads that you can get consultancy support for that. Same thing with the IPv6. We don't provide consultancy support for that. But it does provide general design considerations for IPv6 from a Cisco point of view. We've also added in our insight, right, on what we would recommend for general design considerations. But then again, if you need additional help, right, we're just going to refer you to a consultant that provides that level of expertise, right? The experts that we engaged we got through Presidio, and they're world-renowned experts, right? I would probably not say you probably don't need that level, but they're definitely out there. And then a future thing that we're looking at. So everybody should know that WaTech has a shared tenant in Azure, right? And we are in the process of getting a consultant to help us figure out what that new cloud core should look like. We know that we're not going to take what Chris is putting in a new core on-prem, right? We can't duplicate that up in the cloud. It's just not realistic, and the cloud service providers can't support that. But we need to figure out what that looks like to mitigate the dependency on the state data center, Quincy data center, right? For the doomsday scenario people like to talk about, as well as being able to route cloud to cloud without having to come back to the data center, sir. So what I just said, Kevin Grover just stood up and raised his hands and is saying hallelujah. So we're starting down that rabbit hole as well. Next slide. Okay, so SD-WAN. This has been a popular one. We've gotten a couple of requests to help people consult for SD-WAN. So let me just be clear, we're not ready, right? We just started the proof of concept to narrow down our options. We got 2 options that we're considering, right? So we are just starting that proof of concept. I'm hoping and praying that we can deliver a report of findings that will say, okay, Cisco's better than Fortinet, or Fortinet's better than Cisco, or they're both close enough, good enough, or they both are horrible, throw them out, right? We hope to have that delivered to WaTech Executive Management by June 9th. And we're using an isolated system within WaTech's digital ecosystem. So we are considering the state data center, WaTech's shared tenant in Azure, and WaTech's point of presence in AWS. So hopefully good things. After that, after the decision is presented to executive management, right, then the question is if they want us to follow the recommendation, then we've got to figure out where the money comes from, right? And that's where Jason and Caesar need to figure out how to pay for the stuff that we come forward and present. Next slide. So these next ones are going to go kind of quick. Cloud Highway, we are now 20 gig, woohoo, fully redundant, no single points of failure. We have 15 gigs that is allocated, right, which is actual plus committed. Committed means agencies that have paid the $8,100 and are committing money. Chris and team are in the process of replacing those 5Ks, our switching aggregation that are up there. So we're going to be good there. We're going to be upgrading our shared cross connects from 20 to 40 gig to support additional capacity. Because we have one agency, right, that has their own direct connects, but everybody else uses the shared cross connect. So we're going to provide that additional capacity. And we have developed, which DSHS, thank you, and DOC, thank you, is that we have worked with Equinix and those cloud service providers to use the Cloud Highway to get you to the government ecosystems of both of those cloud service providers. So thank you. So great news. Next slide. Just providing that level of transparency on who's using the Cloud Highway. So for those that aren't, you should consider and be like everybody else, right? We're all using this enterprise service that rocks. Next slide. Here are the people that have said, yeah, that's a good idea, Mike, and we should. These are the ones that are, up in the batter's box right now. So this is great. We got some great adoption. Next slide. And the ones that have said, we're thinking about it and we are planning for it. So my team is very proactive. And so we plan for these, for that as well. Next slide. So last but certainly not least, capacity management, right? This is everybody's near and dear to everybody's heart, is that we're looking for a new data analytics tool. They've been looking for about 9 months and have gone through several options to help agencies as well as EDN as well as operations manage our circuits better, right? Better for upgrade, better for visibility. And we're going to be, based on that tool, we're going to be going back and looking at that upgrade strategy as well and the life cycling piece. And I got to say this because my peer Chris is on, is that hopefully the new tool will be able to account for microbursts. So his team just went, yay. All right. I think that's it. So pending questions. I will be followed by
Next up,
Eric Talbert.
Eric.
Okay, we can all take a deep breath after that. That was a lot of content there. Thank you, Mike. A compelling story it was. Anyways, things are not quite that active in telephony, but we do have a few major initiatives and events going on. So this is basically what I'm going to cover here. Feel free to stop me with any questions or just stop me. Okay, go ahead, Jason. Okay, so Microsoft Teams telephony, the beat goes on with Teams telephony. We've got a lot of happy customers now. We just crested 3,000 users in the year and a half or so that we've been offering it, and things seem to be picking up pace there. It presents a great cost savings to our customers, and they've been anxiously awaiting adoption. So that's where we're headed with that. Any questions about Teams? Okay, we'll move on to the next one then. So another thing that we've been busy with here is changing the way that we roll out our voice over IP. We've gone to what's called a SIP, or Session Initiation Protocol, as our standard. It offers greater security and more connectivity options. And so we've started doing that for some of our customers, primarily DOC, DSHS, and DCYF, and it's been working out pretty well. And in terms of supporting telework, we have a couple of tools that we've employed. The Avaya platform offers several flavors of soft phones, and those are available to anyone who has Avaya. We use WaTech products. We use the Avaya Workplace, and of course Teams has a very nice product that works as telework. And I might say that both of those offer mobile components too. So if you want to have Teams on your cell phone or Avaya on your cell phone, those apps are available. And the benefit to the customer, there's less hardware out there. It just rides on the network as an application. It's easy to deploy, moves, adds, and changes are a breeze. And there's other good reasons too, like we charge less for it. So let's go to the next slide. So as I said, we charge less for it. This is what we've called our product suite that leverage SIP. We call it One Workplace. That was before the One WaTech. And anyways, I had it first. But basically, the SIP telephone is $22 a seat, and that includes voicemail, it includes soft phone, and it includes domestic long distance. So you don't have to use your authorization code if you convert over to a SIP telephone, and that's to compensate for just the reduced complexity for us and for you. It's just an easier way to do business. Any questions about that? Okay, onward. What else are we doing? Okay, so we are busily always upgrading the on-premise environment to the newest release, which is version 10 of the Avaya software, and CMS, which is our ACD reporting package, was recently upgraded, and we're looking at the next version. We are currently looking for cloud contact centers so that the people that are converting over to Microsoft Teams will have a cloud contact center to convert to as well. So we're well along the path of making a decision there. Right now, we are embarking on a proof of concept with the Amazon Connect service. So we're going to start looking at that real closely here in the next few weeks. We're also encouraging people to migrate. If you've already done a voice over IP deployment, we can easily migrate you from the old version of VoIP, which was called H.323, over to SIP, and you can realize the savings that I expressed in the slide before. We've got an automation tool that makes that a snap. And one of the key things that we're working on is continuing to roll out our 911 management product. There was some legislation that came into effect back in January that made it our responsibility to give people the capability to send location information with a 911 call from a soft phone, regardless of where it's located. So we've got the software available that can make that happen. And that's any of our customers that have services that we provide can use that, and it doesn't cost anything. We do it because we love you. And then we just had a new service that we brought out here that we're calling eFax, and it's a hosted cloud-based service offered from our friends at CenturyLink, and it converts a fax into a document, attaches it to an email, and sends it securely. So it takes the place of standalone analog lines that are largely underutilized, and it replaces it with some more modern technology. So hopefully people will start taking advantage of that. I think it's a pretty good service. Question from Candy at DFW. Is Teams phone part of the 911 implementation? Yes. There is a product that supports Teams. It's through Intrado, so we could set that up for you quite easily. And then Microsoft is in the process of hammering out the kinks with their own 911 service, and we're working to test that and make sure it works as well as the Intrado version of life, which is called 911 Location Manager. So Nikki can help with that. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to be rolling out a new voicemail system to all the users on the PBX in the middle part of May. I think it's May 20th, and it goes from Aura messaging to Avaya messaging, and it's a very different animal. It's voicemail on steroids. I think the people that like voicemail will love it. So we'll have more information coming out on that here shortly. Any questions? I think that's it for me.
Awesome, Eric. It sounds like you have a lot of things going on, even though you said you didn't. A lot of action on the telephony side.
This is usual. This is usual. We like it that way.
All righty. After telephony, over
Looks
to
like
wireless
Candy
services.
might have had a question in chat.
Yes, I think Eric answered that one. That yes, the 911 is part of the Teams implementation.
Was that the question?
The question from Candy there in the.
Oh, and then we got one here for Polly. How do you charge for the fax? There's a monthly rate. I think it's somewhere around $12 or $13, and then it's a per page. So for large, like healthcare authority, you have a fax server that I'm sure processes hundreds and thousands of fax machines. It might not be a cost-effective solution, but for people that have just like a analog line sitting in an office, then it's going to be a great replacement for that $45 monthly charge for a Centrex line. Oh, I see. Mark posted out on the chat there a description. Anyways, that's all. I'm done. Thanks, everybody.
Candy, I just wanted to verify you did get an answer to your question there.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, next in the lineup here is wireless services.
We can go to the next slide. So a couple of our big initiatives right now is the wireless AP refresh project. We're currently just about halfway through with that refresh with our agencies. So just big thanks to all of our customer agencies out there that are part of the WaTech wireless service. You guys have been doing a great job. We really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. In that AP refresh, we're swapping out old aging Cisco 2700 series access points with new 9120 Wi-Fi 6 APs. So that's we've got till the first of the year roughly to get those all refreshed. We did just get an update from Cisco about their product lines and software. So they've actually extended the current software for our WLCs and for the 2700s. So they'll be continuing to support those for another, I think they said another year or two while they figure out their supply chain issues and things like that. So it's given us a little bit of wiggle room there, but we're still on track for having all those 27s off our system by the end of the year. And then the other one is we're doing a statewide SSID consolidation for 2 of our SSIDs. So when we do a standard deployment, we have an agency SSID and a roaming SSID. We've got about half of our agencies reporting back to us that they've finished their GPO work, so that's going really well. We're hoping to have roaming disabled, so down to just the one Wi-Fi SSID. We're hoping around June, July timeframe, but we're not going to really set a drop dead date for that roaming SSID until we have all of our agencies converted over to the new Wi-Fi SSID. So that's kind of a little bit of a moving target, but we're getting there. So we'll be reaching out to those agencies that we haven't heard back from, and we're hoping the case is that they just haven't reached out with all clear for their agency. So more updates on that. We will be sending out a wireless user group meeting around April 4th. So we'll be sending that out here soon so that we can talk with all of our customers about kind of how their experience has been with the refresh, with the consolidation, and some other, if they have any other questions or concerns, that's a good time for you to join and talk with not only the wireless group, but other peers throughout the state. One thing I didn't have on here, just a quick update on the service. We've deployed about 2,100, just over 2,100 access points throughout the state with 30 plus agencies. Our non-SGN service has picked up steam. We've got 8 state parks on that service deployed, and we've got 6 or more parks in the works right now that we've got active designs out and working with those folks. So encourage you to go out and enjoy the parks this summer. They've got some great Wi-Fi out there. Any questions? That's about all I got. I see a hand up.
Yeah, hey, sorry about the noise in the background. This is Robert.
No, it's always good to hear from you, Robert.
You too. Hey, this is kind of like a 2-part question or it's also for Eric too. So I know one of the things with the E911 is basically you have to go into your own software on your laptop or wherever you put that address in and all that. So what are you guys doing with if you're doing a wireless and it's bleeding through different floors and things like that, are you guys segmenting those addresses or what the goal on that?
I'll let Eric start that. I don't know that it gets to the floor level, does it, Eric, on the E911?
Yeah, it should. It should get to the floor level, and the software is capable of recognizing that the network has changed and adjusting to the network change. There's some additional coding that needs to be done if you're using it in a wireless environment.
Yeah, currently I don't think it'll notice if you swap, if you move from one floor to the other. It just knows that you're at your location.
Now there is a location information in your PC that gives directionals, but I don't think it's that precise, and it can key in on that.
This is Polly. Yeah, we've been using it for a while, piloting it, my group, and when we're on site, because we use the wireless on site, we can go from building to building to different floors, and it retains the same address no matter which one we're on. It's just that we're on the network, I think. So
yeah, that's unfortunately, yeah, that's how it would work on our service as well. Now, if you went to a different location, yeah, you'd have to input that into your 911 software. And it's really good at recognizing the different locations that I've been to after I've input them.
Yeah, because we only have to do it once. So when I go, once I put my home address in, every time I'm at home, it recognizes I'm on a network that it recognizes, and then it will bring up, hey, I show you're at this address. Is this accurate? I say yes, and then I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. And
just kind of general information, if you want to test what the system has in there, once you've set it up, you can dial 933 from your soft phone, and it'll read back the location that's in the database. So you don't have to bother an emergency operator if you get lonely or something.
Appreciate it. Right.
Anytime, Robert. For you, anything.
Any other questions from the group?
Thanks, everyone.
Righty. I think we had another one. Okay, handing it back off to Mr. Costello for a Tech Talk outreach.
All right, so next slide. So we had to push back the SDWAN Tech Talk, right? Because we're not done, right? So once we figure out which OEM WaTech's going to go with, right? We're expected to be able to present that on that date in June. So what that's going to be is going to be able to talk about SD-WAN at a high level, and then kind of WaTech's journey on how it's going to be. It's not one of them, Henry. Sorry, it's either Cisco or Fortinet. I saw that question come in. So we'll be able to talk about that journey and what the functionality. It's not a service, so I'll caveat that. SD-WAN is not going to be a service. It's going to complement WaTech's wide area network, the WAN circuits, right? The WAN ecosystem. That's what it's going to do. So we'll get into deep dive in that. I'm sure that's going to be a popular Tech Talk because there's a lot of people chomping at the bit to find out more. So then I was asked by Popular, I think Synthel's on this call, but we're going to WaTech. So far is going to allow me to Chris Patchett and Larry Thornton are networking instructors from the Courage University that work on my systems engineering team, and they're putting together a network fundamentals. So this is going to be entry level. So for you big brain people, probably not going to be much value, but for those that I don't want to say at the management level, but I'll say those that are less informed about networking technology should attend, right? This is going to cover, thanks, Bill, appreciate it. But that's what it's really structured. This is entry level instruction, right? Free, you're not paying for nothing. You show up, you listen, you ask some questions. And my boss's boss is on there, so that's awesome. I didn't see Mark on it. Thanks, Caesar, for letting me know. So Candy, as soon as I can, I'm waiting for the instructors to come back with their curriculum because they only got 2 hours, right? And then I've got to go up the chain with that. When that curriculum is established, we're going to get that on the schedule, but I'm probably thinking August timeframe for part 1, part 2, September-ish. And then that cloud core, right? Once we figure out what the cloud core is going to look like, we'll have a tech talk to come back and talk about that one, right? It'll be, here's what we're thinking, right? Here's what the new the cloud ecosystem, WaTech's cloud ecosystem, what it may look like. So if you have other network related topics, please send them to me. If you would care to have a wireless tech talk or a telephony tech talk or a Teams tech talk, right, send those to Brandon and Eric that they can facilitate.
Hey, Justin, if your question is about the recording of the tech talks, we post them online. I believe, Mike, right, that you're going back and posting the previous ones to include the future tech talks.
So complement of both. So the BGP MPLS, it is on the radar for my systems engineers and architects to get back and redo the tech talks and video record it so that other people, you know, can go back and look at them. You don't sign up, Sandy. What I do is I send out the calendar invite to the CIO distro. That's my external facing distro, and then they distribute it how they see it. But yes, all future tech talks will be recorded and then put on WaTech's security tips website. And then typically after a tech talk, when the video or the slide deck is published, I'll put the hyperlink to that file in the calendar invite when I do a reply to all.
It's just a tremendous idea. Really, really great.
Alrighty, any other questions about tech talks or anything along those lines? All right, that brings us to any feedback on this meeting, any other content that you or any input from our folks at WaTech. If you'd like to share anything that wasn't covered in the slides, now's your time. Let us know how we can make this more beneficial to you. So make sure you get the information you need out of these meetings. The one question in the chat, I believe that Caesar sent the slide deck out earlier. If you didn't get it, we can certainly circle back and make sure that we send it to you directly.
Mark.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate everybody's time and attendance today and good opportunity here. I encourage you all to noodle these things over, and you don't have to do it necessarily in the meeting, but noodle these things over and see how these align to your strategies, your business needs, and whatnot, and any feedback. A good portion of what this is about is to give you something to react to. Hey, are we on target? Are we not? Are we going to meet your agency upcoming needs? Those type of items to continue to have that iterative cycle of progress and customer feedback, because we're here for y'all. That's the part of the ecosystem that we play in serving the needs of the residents of the state of Washington, and love to do so. So again, the ask is, as you noodle on these things, think about what areas of feedback you have for us, and send them on to any of those presenters that have talked today, or myself. Any of us is fine, and that allows us to continue to improve, continue to meet the future demands and needs of our partners out here, and make better and better services. And I think it was commented in the chat and also discussed, but there's a lot going on, a lot of big strategies finally sort of coming to fruition and in different ways, and it's pretty exciting where the state is at and where they're heading. And that's all thanks to the great feedback from each of you in your different areas representing your agencies, and again, the residents of Washington that are ultimately all served. So please do send it in, because that helps for the next iteration, make sure we're on the right course and whatnot. So appreciate it, everybody.
Thanks, Mark. With that, obviously, thank you. I'll follow that up and just let you guys know. Obviously, as the new one of the group, I look forward to working with all of you on any of your projects as far as the circuitry and the team internally. So, thanks again for your participation and attendance.
And I'm gonna go one more time. Oh, sorry. Can I go one more time? I re-put my hand up because I thought of one more thing. So Caesar mentioned this at the beginning. I just want to call attention back to it again. In light of the computing services division, and there will be the inaugural semi-annual customer meeting and talking about the different items in that area of technology. So if you have questions or feedback, or hey, that'd be really good for this to be on that topic agenda from that organizational area of all those services, from Active Directory to private cloud or Washington State Cloud, etc., websites, mainframe, all those items are in that area. Let us know for we can make a really profitable first inaugural CST semi-annual customer meeting. And so, yeah, please if you send your feedback to me or Scott Behringer, who's the assistant director for that division, as we get that one ready to go for y'all as well. Sorry, Caesar, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. You took, at least I don't have to speak on that one again. So thank you for that. I just want to say, I want to thank, my group here. All this is their hard work. I just try to facilitate for them. So I want to, personally say thank you to them because they do all the hard work. Like Mark said, we're just the fuzzy managers that, trying to understand when they speak all that fancy networking and telephony. So I thank you to them, and then thank you to all of you for joining. Again, this will, I'll start the recording here in a little bit. It'll be posted on our YouTube page, and I'll reply all to the original invite so that I can put the direct link to that in there, and then I'll reattach the slide deck just in case someone did not receive it. Moving forward, any feedback and the scheduling of these meetings will be done by Jason. So the next one for NSD will be coming from him. So as your agencies, distros, or personnel move around, please coordinate with him if you want someone either added or deleted that are already part of this distro list for this meeting. And Justin, you beat me to it. The over-under was 65 when we started, and we hit it right at 69. So you had the over. Good job. And thank you again to everybody. Let us know if we can do anything better for next time.